Hello everyone, this is Jamarl Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. So I saw a really good interview with Cenk Uygur about the Justice Democrats. He was having a conversation on Truthdig. I don't know if you guys know what Truthdig is. Truthdig is it's bad guys like was it Robert Shear, Chris Hedges. Essentially, it's this news organization. They also have an online component in addition to they have a YouTube component in addition to an online magazine. The magazine is actually really good. So they essentially ask questions, maybe about an hour-long interview, about justice, Democrats. That's pretty good. So there are a few segments that I want to show. So this is the first one.
You've teamed up with a couple other people, including Bernie Sanders, leaders of the campaign this past election, and have launched a new political movement called the Justice Democrats. So let's get right into it. You've been very open about the Democratic Party and your criticisms, and so I wanted to know what inspired this new this new political movement. What was the turning point where you said it's time for this movement?
Yeah. So the Democratic Party for a very long time has needed a real progressive wing that was not beholden to corporate donors. But this election was certainly the straw that broke the camel's back. So let's review the disaster that is the Democratic Party. First, let's note that they have a significant demographic advantage. They also have an advantage on almost every single policy issue, according to the polling, not our opinion, but the polling of American people. And they took those giant advantages, and with that, they have lost the House, the Senate, the White House to a monster who was the least popular person to ever run for president of the United States of America. On the day of the election, he only had a 37% approval rating, and they lost to him anyway. Then they've lost the Supreme Court, even though they could have picked a Supreme Court justice and had a whole year to do it. And then they lost 69 out of 99 state legislatures. It is hard for a party to be this pathetic and this miserable. Now, there's a very good reason for it. Because we think, well, that is, oh my God, what an unbelievable failure. But it's not actually. That's actually exactly what they're paid to do. Here's what I mean by that. The donors have set up a system where all of the candidates are beholden to them. The person with more money wins 95% of the time in congressional elections, as an example. So what are they going to do? They're all going to serve their private financiers of these elections, these donors. And what do the donors want? They want really strong right-wingers to push for tax cuts and deregulation. And the part that everybody leaves out, they want really weak Democrats to go, oh, God, dear golly, gee, there was nothing we could do. I mean, I put up a Supreme Court justice, and then for a year I didn't do anything about it. Golly, gee, there was nothing I could do. George Bush made these tax cuts, but he couldn't make them permanent. But as a Democratic president, I made 94% of the revenue from those tax cuts permanent for billionaires, millionaires, corporations. Golly, gee, there was nothing I could do.
Yeah, I've heard him make that argument before. I wanted to show it because I kind of wanted him to explain his reasoning on why are we doing it. And granted, of course, you know why he's doing it. The Democratic Party is abysmal. It's absolutely abysmal. They sold out its base. So these guys decided we got to do something, and we have the resources to do it. We're going to do it. I've heard him make this argument before that about the whole weak Democrat thing. I'm not sure. That sounds a little conspiratorial to me. I don't think there's anybody who's intentionally saying I'm going to buy this weak Democrat. I think this is systemic. What I mean is structurally, it behaves that way. So think of it this way. As a Republican, for the most part, you're catering to the rich anyway. That's just who you are. It's your party. The things that you do, for the most part, are fully in line with the things that your party espouses. If you're a Democrat, though, crossing that divide means you're going against your base. You have to, by definition of not being progressive, of not actually representing democratic values, you're going against your base. So when Obama is enshrining those tax cuts in the law, when Obama is drone striking civilians, when Obama is doing stuff like trying to cut Social Security, That's a Democratic president. But understand, he's doing it not because they necessarily paid him to do it. What I mean is they didn't pay him to be weak. It's just he's going against his nature. I think that's probably the way I'm trying to explain it. Like, it is well within the Republicans' nature to essentially take money from corporations and do corporate bidding. For Democrats to do that, they're going against their own values. Meaning the things that they say is going to be different than the things that they do if they're taking money to do it. Meaning, by virtue of the process, they're going to be weak. It's just what it is. How can you have a strong Democrat if you're also catering to corporate interests? You can't. You got to pick a opponent. So the other one is, let's see.
Along those lines, one of the...
Oh, right. So this one is really good. So she asked the question that I've asked, and then same progressive, I guess, started. Your media organization, what are you doing getting into a political contest? Like, there's not a conflict of interest in fusing a media organization to a political organization. So, let's hear his answer.
First things that came to mind for me when I was reading about the Justice Democrats is how are you, and by extension the Young Turks, going to fit into the scheme of, I think I read that you'll be also talking about specific candidates on the Young Turks. When you have this sort of collusion between media and politics already, how do you kind of negotiate that for your own network? Because, some of our readers were pointing out potential, in their minds, conflicts of interest that could be introduced by that. Obviously, you've given this a lot of thought.
Yes.
So what are your thoughts about how that should be set up?
So those are all good questions. First off, I am one of the co-founders of the Just Democrats, but the Young Turks are not. And the Young Turks as a company, as a show, don't take any position. Now, I'm the main host of the show. I love the Just Democrats, so I'm going to promote them. We're not hiding that at all. We're absolutely clear about it. And a lot of other hosts also support it. But if a host did not support it, nothing wrong with that at all. We would immediately allow them on air. We'd have a good, healthy debate about it, as we have on every issue. We had people supporting Hillary Clinton, Bernie Sanders, and we got into vicious debates on the Young Turks.
That's also true of Truthdig.
Yes.
We have had the very same debates and very same kind of disagreements, so this is healthy.
Yeah, and in terms of journalism standards, here's how I view the different standards. It used to be based on objectivity. Actually, before that, it was actually very partisan. The press was in America. But objectivity is a perfectly fine standard, and we need objective journalists. So we need the Associated Press, Reuters, all those to collect news for us. But what they tricked us into believing is that the neutrality is same as objectivity, and it isn't. Neutrality says the Falcons and the Patriots played in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, he went into La La Land on that one. That's a hard question, right? That is a hard question. Wait a minute, you're fusing a media organization to a political organization. Some of our people are asking about a conflict of interest. Well, I mean, the Young Turks doesn't take a position on it. I mean, it's me. And yes, I am the host of the Young Turks, and for the most part, I am the only of the Young Turks. But the Young Turks doesn't take a position. It has nothing to do with it. Okay. I guess we'll have to take your word for it, right? It's kind of a problem, dude. That's the point. That's the point. When Nomika Kant had the conversation with Tom Perez. And look, everything that she asked him was perfectly fine. Everything she asked him was absolutely fair. But if she roughs him up a little bit, again, even if it's fair, you still kind of have to ask the question of, well, wait a minute, they're going for Keith Ellison. Is it possible that Nomika Kant is hitting Perez in the knees because they want Ellison? Do I think they're doing that? No. But I'm saying they're not necessarily in politics at this very moment. But at the point where they have a candidate in the field, certainly everybody who works at the Young Turks is going to know who those candidates are. Will they let somebody on the air if they're against them? Maybe. I have no idea what takes place in the Young Turks. But that's the point. That's kind of the point. Cenk Uygur makes a really big deal about how cash is just a corrosive incentive in politics. And look, I agree with you. I think money politics is horrible. I think it creates the wrong incentive structures. But if politicians fail to that incentive structure, not necessarily because they're bad people, but because the incentives push them in a particular way, I don't understand why you guys aren't susceptible to those same forces. That's all I'm saying. And look, there's nothing to do with me deciding whether or not I think it will work. I actually think this could be pretty effective. So it's not bad, but whether I think it's effective or not is a whole separate thing to whether I think it's ethical. I mean, those are separate and distinct items. I know some people, yeah, I gotta be honest. It's more just intellectual honesty. If I'm going to go along with it, I'm going along with it full well knowing that there are conflicts. So, it is what it is. It's just being aware of it. That's all. It's not a bad thing. I'm not shitting on the organization. Nothing like that. I'm just kind of pointing out saying, hey, that is a little weird. That's a conflict of interest. And no, Cenk did not answer that question. Cenk hauled ass to the next question pretty quickly. That's all.
And we're going to mercilessly primary the Democrats.
So it sounds like you have a lot of support, and because of the young turks, because of your celebrity, because of the fan base of the young turks, and also the people who are supporting the Justice Democrats. But a lot of our readers are wondering why run off of a branch of the Democratic Party, right?
Okay, she's talking really, really low, but she's asking him, again, this is another one of those really good questions, because it's a question that a lot of people ask, including myself. Why are you running as a branch of the Democratic Party? Why not just start your own party? You wouldn't want to have your own distinct identity at that point. Now, Cenk came up with an answer that I hadn't heard before, but I really, really liked. And I think I may even agree with him on. Let's hear him.
Not start your own party, because as we saw with the Bernie Sanders campaign, it went really far, it gained a lot of awareness, but ultimately the DNC shut it down. So do you foresee those kinds of issues happening in the future? And one of our readers, actually, Simeon Menso, thank you for tuning in, asks, how long will it take for Justice Democrats to have a real impact in politics? So, two questions. Why run off of a branch of the Democratic Party? And two, how long do you think it will take to see change?
Okay, both great questions. So I have very specific answers to that. First, on why not a third party? So we are very practical. This is not an exercise in I'm frustrated, I'd like to do a hashtag movement, etc. No, this is about getting power back so that we could win on policy positions and we can take the country back in the right direction. This isn't about feeling good, this is about actually accomplishing policy objectives. So, if you look into that, and I've been covering politics for over 20 years, and I studied this to no end, especially before we set this up. Setting up a third party is prohibitively costly. The infrastructure needed for it is enormous. Just to get on the ballot across the country requires at least $10 million. So it is just, and secondarily, so that's very impractical. So as much as you might want to do it, good luck to you, brother, and I want you to do it, and eventually I think we will set up a situation where that can be done, but today it will be very impractical if you ask me. But secondly, it's just as importantly, the Democratic Party is ours. It's not the corporation's party. So we have every right to take that party back. So from FDR to JFK, that party was the Progressive Party. And right now, it's a mess anyway. It's a ghost ship. It's just sitting there with no soul at all. So we are going to board that ship, we are going to take it over, and make it what it always was, the Progressive Party in this country. So there's just no need to do anything but recapture the party that's supposed to represent us anyway.
So let me just put a little challenge to that.
I like that point. Sorry, there was a camera mishap. Look, I really like that answer. So, I personally, all things being equal, I think I personally would like a new party. I made this point before. I think you need a new party in order to keep the other party honest, the other two. Otherwise, you're going to end up in the same situation. Like fourth-way Democrats, fifth-way Democrats. But I guess my feeling is, as a short-term guess, assist in a sense. I just feel like it's a moment. I just feel the public has its wind at its back. And I feel like we're at the point that, as dark as it is, we're at the cusp of something awesome. Now look, that could be hyperbole, that could be absolute wishful thinking. I don't think it is. Which makes me more inclined to say, this is the fastest thing moving. I am hitching my wagon. Only thing we do is see where it goes. I mean, they said they're going to have plenty of candidates in 2018, I believe you said. So I think we'll see his first crop of Justice Democrats in 2018. And again, ideally, 2020. So if you like these guys, if you want to support them, have at it. I still have mixed feelings, I gotta be honest. The conflict of interest thing bugs me, even though I actually think it could work. So, that being said, if I came across one that I thought was a genuine progressive and I thought it was a good pick, would I support him? Yeah. I'll probably give the money directly to him, but yeah. Thanks, guys.